I mean, I think what he's talking about obviously is a fear of some intangibles as well as some tangibles. But I think everyone, to a small degree, should have a healthy amount of fear in their life. And the example, let's think about it this way. And we've been talking about this throughout the weekend. Baltimore, I'm from New Orleans. Baltimore and New Orleans, there are some significant parallels. And when I think about if some of the young cats who are out there young and gunning and killing and hustling and grinding, if they had a healthy amount of fear that would allow them to recognize going to penitentiary is not where you want to be, and you're making a decision based on your element and your environment. If they had a healthy amount of fear, then they'd put the gun down. They wouldn't hustle, they wouldn't grind. So fear can be used, as you mentioned earlier, fear can be used as a positive component and variable.
Hold up, I want to let my man. I'm sorry, I'm gonna let my man chime in.
I want to say your name again, man. Winslow. I agree with you on that, and because we invoke the Bible, I'll talk about the Bible all day long. But the word says that fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, right? The beginning of knowledge. Yeah. So there is a healthy amount of fear, regardless of who you are. Your love for God is what compels you to move forward, despite when you might have some uncertainties in your life.
Well, we're talking about a couple. We're kind of redefining fear, and I think you brought up a good point about how you define your fear. But I think you made a good comparison: is that there's no difference in fear as we're defining fear holistically. It's just in different scenarios and situations. But fear, as a definition, is the same thing. Whether it's about you're scared of an individual, or whether it's about you have a fear of failing, or whether it's about you have a fear of not being able to provide for your family. I mean, it's different scenarios, but the definition, I don't think changes. I don't think. Well, you guys tell me.
It's an anxiety.
Right. I mean, you guys tell me. I don't think we can all define fear. There has to be a universal definition of fear. I don't think we can all just define fear on our own terms.
Right. And I believe somebody said it. It's not knowing what's going to happen regarding the situation. That's where the fear comes in at, because you don't know. There are men who have this fear of the body failing, certain parts of the body. So that now becomes a certain type of fear because we're getting older.
You're going to say, Viagra, go get that Viagra.
And then that becomes a whole nother piece, because I ain't scared of nothing, but really I don't want to die, because I got my wife, I got my kids, I want to see my grandkids, and then you start going all down the line, start thinking about all of these different scenarios, staying up all night in regards to the fear that you know that you want to get to, but this very thing could take you out. So here it is, you like, oh my God, and then the chains come because you start dealing with it night after night. And then not only night after night, you start bringing new scenarios to your mind. You start bringing new stuff, and that new stuff start taking you to a whole nother level. Now you don't got 5, you got 25, you got 30. So during the course of the day, you want to do your work. But here it is, those things come back in your mind. You want to shake the fear off, but the fear come back. But rest assured, because we have this flesh, all of us are going to experience fear itself. And you said it matters. It depends on what you do when the fear comes.
Right.
How do we address fear? Because think about from a leadership position. Do you want a leader that is fearful?
Yes.
You do.
You have to have a leader that's fearful. If he's not fearful, then he's going to do anything. He'll do anything without regard to who it'll harm.
Okay.
Not only that, but it goes back to exactly what you were saying about these kids in the street now. It's because they don't have this fear, right?
That's correct.
They have no fear. They don't consider what the ultimate repercussions of their actions are. If you have a leader that's just reckless and doesn't have any fear and just thinks that I am the end all be all, that's the last thing I want.
So for us to
the last thing we don't want to accept about fear is that some fear gives you respect of what you're fearing. Leaders that don't have respect are not good leaders.
So it's healthy for us to have a certain level of fear as leaders. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes. Yeah, but it goes back to what you said. It's a matter of what you do it in there.
Correct.
I'm fine with my leader being. I want Obama to be up at night worrying
You want him
about
to be
what's
fearless.
going on.
Correct.
You want him to be
I
fearless.
want him to then make.
well, he's saying
I want him to be fearful.
He's not saying
of what
fearless.
his decisions are, how it's going to impact us, and then I want him to man up and make a decision to face that fear and make the best decision.
So
which
then
is what we do in our
is
life.
that the definition of courage? Because
Yes,
you have
I would
fear,
say. I
and
absolutely.
then you
do.
still do make a decision in spite of that fear. Is that the definition of courage?
I can-